Hello friends, and welcome to the first video edition of LandO's lock-ins. Guys, I just have so much fun playing CDL pick'ems all the time that I really just kind of wanted to make a video series out of this and maybe kind of go week by week. We'll kind of address the different matches that we have, kind of give a little bit of a summary on the week, what we kind of expect coming into these matches. But I know there's a lot of people who really enjoy the pick'ems. I myself am kind of glued to this page all the time. Obviously being a caster, I'm always looking at different stats, different figures, putting my predictions together. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of give my thoughts and just kind of summarize a few things coming into my pick'em process. And the same thing goes for you guys. Like, I would love for this to kind of turn into a series where maybe we kind of do our pick'ems together, setting up for the week and just kind of go from there. Obviously I have a big kind of history in making content, really into the content game. And I've been kind of waiting, looking for like an opportunity to like hit something, kind of hit a vein that's more unique. And I think this could be a good opportunity to do it. So let me know if you guys enjoy this. If you want to see it again, things that you maybe want to see adjusted, things like that. But I'm kind of aiming at this being like a nice 20 to 30 minute listen, something you can have in the background, something that you're watching, and just kind of like I said, doing your pick'ems alongside myself. Next, these are going to be my official pick'ems. Now, at times things will change. For example, these do lock in each day. If you never played CDL pick'ems, of course, you have the ability to like choose whichever match you think is going to win. You choose the map count. If you do choose the correct winner in the series, then you do get 2 points. If you choose the exact series correctly, meaning that, let's say I have Minnesota beating LAG 3-0 and I predict that exactly right, then I get 3 points. And then that goes to a leaderboard of which you can earn prizes. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, kind of getting back to it, my pick'ems may change, and I'm hoping that maybe, like I said, for next week, for example, I could go over those changes. I could go over maybe what I did right, what I did wrong. But we do learn a lot, right? From match to match, you do learn a lot about a team. So this is me kind of giving my early thoughts, but also kind of betting on myself a little bit in regards to these. So, I got to say really quick, currently in second place in the CDL Pick'em leaderboard. For broadcast talent, by the way, and I'm really gonna do my best to catch Nameless. So if you guys have any tips, if you have any little thoughts on comments and maybe how I can do that, maybe how we should approach the pick'ems, feel free to let me know. But okay, let's get into it. Right, 3 minutes in, we gotta get things started here. So really kind of big topics coming into this week are roster changes, right? We see Seattle make one, they bring a Decimate for Looney, and then more notably, right, LA Thieves make a huge change, one of the biggest changes that we've seen throughout this season, one of the biggest changes we've honestly seen in CDL history, right? We got the Thieves merch, the Thieves merchandise here, just in light of what has been a crazy last 48 hours for them. They're bringing in HUKE from the Dallas Empire. They will be benching TJ, and who kind of knows how that starts to spiral things. So, right, LA Thieves in the middle of a great moment for them, a great kind of sequence, really, since they formed throughout the Stage 2 Major in that elimination bracket, and they've just been rolling, right? Match to match, they've looked excellent, and so now they're thinking, hey, we want to build again. We want to build upon what is our current landscape? What is our current team right now? They're looking to change that up and try to bring in somebody like HUKE, which is crazy. So I'm really looking forward to seeing them this week. Obviously, I'm looking at a Saturday for them. That is their only matchup for the Dallas home series. So like I said, this is going to be a big game. It's also a game full of marquee matchups versus NYSL. All right, so let's kind of get into our official matches, starting things off, of course, with Minnesota Rocker versus LAG. This is a big series, right? This is a big one for both of these teams. Currently, both are 1-2 in the groups. This is a huge matchup for Group A. I will say I'm kind of worried about the Minnesota Rocker right now. There are a lot of talk about that honeymoon stage possibly being over. Maybe they're starting to kind of be more of an average team, which they've kind of looked like that, to be honest with you. They've kind of looked like that so far throughout this stage. They just don't seem to kind of have that same fire. Hardpoint doesn't look nearly as consistent. Search and Destroy is not great. In their last 8, they are 2-6 right now in Search and Destroy. And when we talk about Search and Destroy, right, one of the best teams on the other side happens to be the Gorillas. And really from the Gorilla side, Search and Destroy looks great. At times they can be crafting the hard points. At times they can be good in the control. If you give them a raid control, they can be very dangerous on that one, as we saw them versus Dallas, where they 3-0'd them on raid control. LAG is off of that game 5 loss versus the Empire, so you don't really know where to put LAG, and you really don't know where to put Minnesota. And kind of given where both of these teams are right now, this is kind of a pretty even match. I really wouldn't be surprised if you were to see either team come out with this victory. I will say this matchup, to me, this series in particular, is going to come down to overall team consistency. Meaning that I want to see, kind of similar stats across the board. No one really lacking, no, AR department or SMG department really kind of lacking in this one. And like I said, this is kind of both of these teams fighting for their life. I mean, if you lose this, you're 1-3. That drastically hurts your chances at getting top 3 in this group, just to kind of solidify winners for the stage 3 majors. So this one really took me a while to kind of come to a conclusion on. It still is, obviously, because I'm still kind of debating in my head. I am going to bet on Minnesota here, and I hope that I don't get burned. I bet on Minnesota quite a bit kind of throughout this run that they've been on, but I am going to give them the advantage here. I'm going to have this one, I think, in a 3-1. I don't know about a 3-2 victory, because I really don't know if we see Minnesota take a search and destroy. And I really kind of fear this Gorillas team in that Game 5 environment, just with the veterans that they have, with the kind of calm, cool, collected type attitude that they have as well. But with LAG, I think they could be a crafty team, and like I said, it really wouldn't surprise me. This is probably a pick that I feel like almost one of the, out of the first 4, I feel like really has the ability to be different, but I am going to be betting on the Rocker here, despite maybe how certain things have looked for them lately. I'm going to have Rocker winning this one 3-1, probably dropping the search and destroy. Maybe Minnesota gets a good pick. Maybe they take that, and that leaves LAG in a world of pain. But like I said, from a team consistency perspective, I think at times LAG can be great. And I know with Minnesota, so far in stage 3, everybody is below a 1 KD right now. I think accuracy at like a 0.9, Priest is at like a 0.92, attaches at like a 0.93. I'm pretty sure those numbers are accurate. If not, they're very close. And like I said, I just don't think we're going to see that kind of 0.9 type of performance versus a team like LAG, which at times can really struggle in the slaying category. So enough with that. We'll go and move on to the next one. Broke that one down quite a bit, and now we'll move on. Optic versus NYSL. Big game. One of the biggest for seeding in this particular group. Again, things really kind of coming down to the wire in both Group A and in Group B. So obviously we're shifting the focus now to Group B. So coming into this match, it is New York currently in that 2nd seed at 2-1. Optic at 2-1. THIEVES is sitting currently in that 4th seed, and a lot of people like their chances to have a solid week here, as they will have the surge after this match concludes. So really, one of these teams is going to drop to 2-2, and you really have a good opportunity for FaZe to probably overtake one of these teams, at least currently for seeding. And then from there, it just gets even more wild. So like I said, for this series, odds are the loser of this will have the 4th seed with 1 match left up. And then from there, like I said, it just gets chaotic. But coming into this one, Chicago off of a loss versus the Thieves. A Game 4, I think they lose that one 3-1, only taking the Express. Respawns just do not look consistent at all for Optic right now, and it's kind of surprising given this team. I think the stat actually comes from EasyMac. I believe that Optic are 3-11 versus top 7 teams in their last 14 respawns. So essentially, for Optic, respawns at times are good, but they are not good versus top caliber teams, which is terrifying considering that New York, at least in the hardpoints, have been excellent. They haven't dropped a single hardpoint with Hydra on the team. They're sitting at 5-0 right now. Now, in terms of search and destroy for New York, doesn't look good. They're at 1-3. Controls are iffy for them as well. So this one is an interesting one. I think we will see a fair amount of checkmate. Both teams like playing checkmate. Both teams don't mind playing checkmate versus other teams who also like checkmate. So it would not surprise me if we do see, a hardpoint checkmate, maybe a search and destroy checkmate, probably a control checkmate. But it's going to be crazy. It's hard to go with this one because, again, it's like, who do you bet on? Like, I expect New York to take the first hardpoint. Chicago very well could play them close in that. Search and destroy, I expect Optic to take that. New York, granted, have not been good in search and destroy, but I think are working on that behind the scenes, especially coming into this week. And you talk about, like, if they were able to play well in the hard points, yet also make those search and destroys slightly better, that could be a great team. And I think they already are a solid team. But in regards to this series, I don't know. I'm losing a lot of confidence to Optic in a few different aspects. I like New York's chances to win the control more. And I just feel like they're just continuing to work together more as a team. Like, I feel like the issues with New York are very apparent. The issues with Optic are still all over the place. Like, you don't really know, like, what is the primary problem with their respawns. You could point out to a number of different things, whether it's the slang, the ARs. Formal does not have a great last series. Formal has not had a great stage 3 so far. At times Envoy is amazing, and at times he's getting shut down on the flank because people are starting to catch him out. So I just think New York are going to play crafty in this. I had this one going to a game 5. It would not surprise me if this does maybe end up a 3-1, but I just like New York's chances right now. Optic just does not seem to be kind of in the right mode for the moment. But hey, like I said, if they're able to take that first hard point, then they obviously chain the search and destroy together. It is a totally different series. But I just, like I said, I like New York right now. I think that they're only going to improve with Hydra in the team. So let's go ahead and move on. I know we've been taking kind of our time in our first 2 matches. Those are the ones that I want to be casting, I believe. So that's the reason why I probably have a little more figures for that one. This one's gonna be a little bit quicker, right? Atlanta versus Seattle Surge. Now Decimate is coming in for this. We talk a lot about honeymoon periods. Maybe that could be a thing right now for Seattle. I think Decimate's going to provide a little bit more slang for the team for sure. I know he had a great Challenger stage 2. And at times can be excellent in just a number of different modes. I mean, he can just kind of take over, especially in the challengers. Like I said, honeymoon, could it be a thing? Seattle at times look great in the search and destroys, can be a crafty team in those hard points. And really the course, I feel like for Seattle will be stealing a hard point and then walking away with the search and destroys. I think FaZe drops either the game 1 or game 2, probably the search destroy, I would imagine, if this is going to be as close as I think that it probably will be. And then maybe one of the hard points. I will say I have FaZe winning this. So spoiler there. I have Atlanta winning this, which again, you never really know in this league. And this is a big match for FaZe as well, because again, they win this match and they have top 3 seed for the moment. And that obviously has the ability to change, but that is a big game for them versus the Surge. Let's see here. Again, search and destroy at times for FaZe, it's excellent depending on the maps. Like, do they want to keep playing Express? It's kind of hard to say, but I do think we do see a game 5 here. Again, I think there's gonna be a lot of these matches that are really close. Like I said, I think with this honeymoon period for Surge, I think they're gonna come out with the fire. I think Decimate's gonna provide a lot of great slant that they just haven't had before, and I think that's gonna free up them a decent amount. Now that could kind of change roles a little bit. You know, that could maybe cause some problems early, but this is a big match for Seattle just in terms of confidence. I know that they're already not, at least based off Octane's video, they still have the ability to get a top 3 seed. I'm almost positive. But I know that Octane in his video, he's like, yeah, we're going to be in the elimination bracket. So I think that they're kind of already coming into this being like, hey, let's just try to, put together a good series. And I think that they will give FaZe their best. I think this is a 3-1, 3-2, but I am going to give the advantage to Atlanta. Again, not a big advantage by any means. I think this one could be very close. Now we'll go and move on to the next match of Friday, right? May 7th, Dallas Empire versus the Florida Mutineers. Honestly, this is just, if I was casting this series, this is just all I would say. It comes down to Awakening in Skies. How well that these guys play seems to determine a lot, if not all, of their series. I mean, they at times look absolutely excellent. They start off the stage very well, right? Beating the Minnesota Rocker in that series. Let me actually go back and verify, but I'm pretty sure, right? They start off beating Minnesota. Yeah, they take both the hard points. Both the hard points are convincing wins. They get a nice round 11 search and destroy. Awakening plays well in that one. Skies does as well, but momentum is the big thing in Call of Duty. I don't know exactly percentage wise, but Florida are off of a very scary loss to the Paris Legion. I think they only won a round 11 search and destroy. They got rolled over in the other respawns. And again, the ARs, they just don't come up to play. And that's the issue, I think, with the Florida team, is that it really always comes down to the ARs, and you really need that SMG consistency. I know they haven't really had that as of yet. I feel like Havoc has not put up to his potential since being added onto this team. So I am going to be going Dallas here. And, when we talk about results, I mean, there's obviously a number of different ways that you can go with this. I mean, you could look at, map vetoes, how that approaches things, Florida at times, in different modes. But I'm going to go Dallas 3-0. I really am. And again, I don't think that, I'm kind of betting on this just to be another slow series for Florida. And it's not necessarily to say that, oh, I think that Florida's going to get destroyed. I just think that based on how the maps are going to play out, and really just based off how pick'ems work, like you kind of have to go for some unorthodox picks from time to time. Like you're going to see me kind of go for some random 3-0s, maybe even some surprising like 3-1s. What do you think it has to go to a game 5? Like little things like that, because it just happens. Like, we're probably in our first 4 matches, we're probably going to have at least 1 3-0. It's just the way that it works. And so I am going to have Dallas taking this. Again, I just think for the Florida team, I think with this loss, they're going to really kind of evaluate themselves and just be like, okay, we got to do something. We got to try to figure things out. But yeah, really just kind of short story. I think Dallas wins this. I think the Shotzi's going to have a really big series here versus the SMGs that at times look good, but at times look flat. I just don't trust Havoc and Neptune right now in that SMG column. And so I think from that perspective, it's going to slow down the ARs to really make plays. So I had this one being a 3-0, could be a 3-1, but I have Dallas no matter what. I think taking this, and I don't think it goes to a game 5. All right, so starting off Saturday, Toronto Ultra versus Paris Legion. Again, Paris off of a nice win. Have they kind of finally caught their stride? Could this be the moment where Paris, kind of turns things around? And now I would circle this series as one to really kind of evaluate, kind of consider, because Toronto have officially locked up a top 3 seed, not just a top 3 seed, but the number 1 seed for their group in Group A. So they're sitting in a nice 4-0. They're 12-1 overall in maps. And at times we do see teams, can I go into cruise control, right? And that very well could be something here. A lot of teams, whenever you are sitting in a situation like that, you're like, guys, we already have the top seed. Maybe let's time to experiment with that pool. And that happens. Like whenever FaZe, whenever they were on that 11 series winning streak to start off the season, at times versus teams that they felt like they were going to beat, they wanted to test out their map vetoes. They wanted to test out maps that they normally don't play. And recently for Ultra, they have had a number of different new maps kind of enter the fray for them, and they honestly have looked very good on those maps. And so it would not surprise me if we do see kind of this element maybe get this series closer than I'm sure a lot of people are predicting it to be. So again, I don't really know where this one could sit. I am going to be going with the Ultra to take this, but I would not be surprised if we do see this one go to a game 5. It very well could be, a 3-0, very well could be 3-1. And I really don't know where to set this. Do I think the Paris are really going to make that much of a difference? I think in the respawns, they can be lethal. I don't see them taking the search and destroy. I think the Ultra looks solid in that. And then really, depending on the control pick that we get for this, I don't know, man. It's kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard to choose in this situation. I am going to lock in a 3-2. I think that Paris can send this one the distance, but I think a lot of it's just going to be dependent off of Paris, just with a little bit of momentum for the moment. Maybe kind of catching a few maybe sequences of momentum coming into this series. Aqua played well in their last one, and he's been really slow so far throughout stage 3. So again, I have Ultra winning this. It would not surprise me if they do lock up this series, but Ultra, they at times looked a little bit slow versus the Gorillas in that series they had earlier on and last week. The series that took forever, aka the one that had the hour break. LAG kind of threw the first 2 maps. So, I think this could be an opportunity for someone to play them close. I think Ultra, regardless, are sitting fine overall. But this is one that I'm circling thinking, hey, this could be a pretty interesting one to look out for. Maybe a surpriser, in fact. Next one we have LA Thieves versus the New York Subliners for our Game Fuel marquee match. I got myself a nice Game Fuel here. Hopefully that wasn't too loud of a slurp. We get our Berry Blast on deck. And you know what that means, folks. Double points, meaning it is more important than ever to lock up this series, to get it as close to prediction possibility. And it will be the LA Thieves versus the New York Subliners. This will be HUKE's first match, a part of the LA Thieves, which is a huge one to kind of keep in mind. And also, like I said, will be his first series with them. So with that being the case, do they come out hot now with with HUKE on the roster in place of TJ? Or could this be a team that's trying to figure some things out? Could this be like an opportunity for the LA Thieves to be like, hey, we got to figure some things out in the search and destroys, for example. Maybe we don't like the same maps that we did now that we have HUKE on the team. You just kind of evaluate things a little bit differently. But again, like you got Kylo Ken, you got HUKE Skywalker now on the same team. Draws has been playing great. Venom has really stepped into a role that I have been kind of waiting for him to get to. So I'm really happy about that. But for New York, right on the other side, I have them winning a big game 5 versus Optic Chicago. I think they're going to sit very nicely in the respawns. I think their search and destroy is going to get better. And this is another series where I think we're going to see a lot of checkmate, depending on how the LA Thieves like to play the vetoes. Now, they did face off, actually, at the Stage 2 Major, and this was the series that did cause New York to make a roster move. I think that everybody that LA Thieves beat in the elimination bracket actually made a change, which is kind of interesting. And New York was no different, right? They bring in Hydra for Diamond Con. They have a lot of different change-ups really from there. But I will say, probably one player that I'm looking at more than any other in this series, at least from the New York side. I mean, obviously you could point at HUKE, you could point at Hydra, you could point at a number of different guys. But I'm really looking at Mac. I am. I mean, he had a great series versus the Seattle Surge. Granted, Seattle not looking great by any means. It was an easy 3-0 for them. But he put up a 1.68. And sometimes it will take a series for a player to kind of get back on the groove of things. And I think with the flex, I really like every single role right now from the New York subliners. I think, you know, from a team's perspective, I mean, he's comfortable being that fast up, you know, kind of in your face, aggressive SMG. I think Hydra has the ability to be a playmaker, which is exactly where you want him to be right now. Obviously, you have Mac probably in his probably the most comfortable that he's been all season long. I think he wanted to run the flex with how well the Diamond Con was looking. Whenever they added him to the team, it just kind of changed up his position. Then Clay rocking that main AR, who at times can just take over a series despite nearly being 29 years of age. And I think they also will have the edge just because, again, this is LA Thieves working on maybe a week of practice now with HUKE on the team. I think they're going to be investing in a number of different, you know, practices, trying to get things in line. And so I think that LA Thieves very well could be a product of just coming out slow, coming out versus a team that really knows exactly what to focus on in regards to New York. And I do have New York taking this. Now, like I said, I think the LA Thieves, this is not indicative of how I think the LA Thieves are going to look for the major or now with HUKE kind of looking forward. I just think in regards to this being their first series, a lot of people aren't going to be thinking about that. They're just going to think, okay, HUKE's now on the team. Awesome. And that very well may be the case, but I think it's going to take some time. I think there may be a mode that sticks out for them that could cause some problems. I don't have it being a 3-0, by the way. I think this has the ability to be a 3-1, 3-2. I don't know if I should go 3-2 because I've got a lot of these right now. I think I'll go 3-1. But again, I think, you know, from the Thieves perspective, I think they come out of the gates a little bit slow with HUKE, but that's not a problem when you look at the way that the rest of this series, or rather the rest of their year, is going to be now with HUKE on the team. But yeah, I got New York for this. And that very well could change. You know, again, if they lose that series versus Optic, that's going to make me really kind of evaluate this. Maybe if we see some, you know, some stats or maybe some posts about how LA Thieves is looking in scrims, that could kind of change my opinion as well. But I do have New York taking this, and that would mean that they have a nice 2-0 week versus two very top caliber rosters, which is huge for NYSL. So that very well has the ability to help me. It also has the ability to drastically hurt me. So again, that'd be a huge series for New York. This is a massive game, probably one of the biggest games for rather this entire week in regards to how the group standings look. Now, to summarize what will be a very interesting Saturday, we've got Florida Mutineers taking on LAG. Now, this could be a big match for late seeding, but I really wouldn't be surprised if either team wins this. It really just kind of depends on results and prior matches. I have both teams losing coming into this one, but both I think have a very good chance. Now, just to kind of summarize this one quickly, I have Florida taking this, but I'm going to say they're going to take this in a, maybe I go 3-0. I'm going to go 3-0 here. Now this, like I said, this series, depending on how different things play out, this could be a huge series if Florida takes this because, now let me look here really quick because I don't want to mess this up. Pulling up COD, the COD esports wiki, because what Florida had already beaten Minnesota. So they have the head-to-head in that. So if Florida wins this series versus the LA Gorillas, they would be 2-3. Minnesota at this moment would be 2-2. So again, if I have Florida winning this, I'm gonna have them winning at 3-0. I'm just gonna go with that. I think the Skies and Awakening, they pick things up. Florida just at times can be crazy. I have this one being a 3-0. Very well could be something different. But with Florida winning this, that I believe could be wrong. We have lots of stats people that tell me all this information, so I apologize if I don't know this. I believe with Florida winning this, That now means that Minnesota, this is a make or break series for them. So Florida winning this because they have the head-to-head. Both these teams are fighting for that third seed at this moment based off the results that I have. Florida would have the head-to-head if Minnesota loses this because they would have the exact same record. Florida would get the third seed. But if LAG wins this versus Florida, I believe Minnesota are good no matter the result. That could be incorrect, but just know if Florida wins this, that is a must win for Minnesota. And that's what I'm going to be going with. Again, lots of stats, lots of numbers to throw at you. And then what, our next series, I actually don't even know if I have this one written down. Oh yeah, I have like a little note here. Again, both these teams, I think, like I said, based off my predictions, Seattle versus London, both are going to be kind of toward the bottom side of this group. Again, they just were in a very difficult group, to be honest with you. They have the Thieves, they have Subliners, they have Optic, they have FaZe. I mean, arguably, that could be like the top 4 teams in the game outside of Toronto Ultra. Where do you have Dallas right now? So this one's just overall very difficult for both these teams. And I'm going to go with Seattle. I think the Seattle take this one 3-1. I think they're going to really learn a lot from that FaZe loss. And I think that the honeymoon period is going to be kind of extended into this series. I know that London have looked better, right? They had the big win versus the Royal Ravens, versus the New York Subliners. But this will be, I think, kind of an odd matchup for the Ravens. Right now, their hard point is kind of, well, I'll say this. Ravens are feeling more confident in the search and destroys. Surge, on the other hand, are feeling better about their hard points. Rather, they're good in the search and destroys, but I think they're better in the hard points. I think we may see London steal what? I don't know. You may see them steal one of the first 2 games, maybe depending on what the control is. That may be where they get the victory. This one could go down to a game 5, but I think just kind of depending on where both these teams sit right now, I'm going to go with Seattle. Really just because of the recent change they make based off the honeymoon period, all of those things. And that's where this one sits. Again, really doesn't matter in regards to top 3. It just matters in regards to who has the 4th versus the 5th seed. All right, moving on. 2 big ones to close this out. We're sitting at about 27 minutes, so we'll close this one out pretty quick. Apologies if it's been a little bit longer than we expected. But I've enjoyed it so far. This has been kind of fun. I like this a lot. But like I said, this is a huge game, right? FaZe versus Optic, a classic one, without a doubt. And this is going to be a crazy match. Now, based off my predictions, and this is my personal predictions, based off the series that we have, Atlanta would be in the 2nd seed. Chicago at this moment would be in the 4th seed. Because like I said, they lost to New York. Atlanta gets the win. So that shifts Optic now to the 4th seed. And Atlanta would be in the 2nd one. And I think that this one comes down to the wire, right? I think this one goes down to the wire. We got both teams probably going to a game 5. Now, this one could be totally different. It very well could be a 3-1. I just think that we're going to see a much better looking FaZe team. I think that their hard point is only going to get better. I think they'll continue to contend in the search and destroys. They might lose one depending on how the vetoes. Like maybe we see an Express getting there. Maybe Optic gets a great, game 1 hard point. Depending on what it is, I trust FaZe more in the search and destroys than I trust Optic in the hard points right now. And it's a weird thing because, depending on how that Optic series versus New York goes, that totally changes up a lot of different things. Because let's say they play well versus New York in the hard points. Maybe they take one, maybe they even win that series. That totally changes up the way that this one looks. But based off of my predictions, based off the way that I have this one going, I don't have Optic really improving all that much in the hard points. I think that we see FaZe take the first one. Optic could reply back in the search and destroy. I give control probably the advantage to FaZe again, just because I feel like at times they can be so good in the controls. But this one's going to come down a lot to the map vetoes. And I just have FaZe winning this. Now, maybe I hesitate to go to a game 5. We'll keep it a game 5. We'll keep it a game 5 for now. I hope this one does go the distance, but I have FaZe winning this 3-2, if not 3-1. And so with that changes up big things in my group. Like everything just kind of shifts around with that victory coming through. So I will kind of recap you guys on the top 3 teams that I have from Group A and Group B. But obviously you see here based off the results, I have Optic going 0-2 in this week, which is kind of surprising, but also at the same time, they have very, very stiff competition left up. And then to close things out, right? Another Game Fuel marquee matchup, a sip for good luck. Oh, that's good. Empire versus Rocker. Again, double points. This one means a lot. And again, like I said, predictions very well can change up a lot from this. I have Minnesota beating LAG coming into this. I have Dallas off a nice 3-0 win versus the Florida Mutineers. These teams love going to game 5 versus each other. Now, again, according to my predictions, I believe that Minnesota has to win in order to get top 3 in the group, because if they lose, they would drop the head-to-head versus Florida. So I think Minnesota try to come out with the fire for this. I think they do contend well, but it's just hard. It's a hard sell for me in this one. I think they dropped the Search and Destroy versus LAG. They maybe even dropped the Control versus the Gorillas, depending on, maybe even the opening hardpoint. Like there's just, it's kind of hard. Like, where do you look at the Minnesota strengths? And I feel like there isn't like one avenue that you look at and say, okay, cool, they've got that at least to rely on. Maybe it's the Control. I don't know. But I think that Minnesota do play up to their competition in this. I'm very interested to see the Shotzi versus Standy matchup. I think that one's going to be interesting. You're always looking at Fellow, obviously the new addition to the Dallas Empire. But I am going to have Dallas taking this. I think despite how big of a game this is for Minnesota, considering that if they win this, they would lock in the top 3 seed because they'd have a better record than Florida. But with Florida winning that series puts a lot of pressure on this Rocker team to try and get top 3 in this group. But I think that Dallas do end up locking this one up. They would officially kind of have that second seed, I believe, if they win this. So all things considered, again, it could be Minnesota who, like I said, it really just depends. It really depends on momentum. It depends on Minnesota in this situation, realizing that, hey, their life could be on the line from winners to losers. So they may come out really strong. Dallas may just be like, hey, whatever, another series, no big deal. But, yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas for this. I'm going to have them winning this one probably in a 3-1, maybe 3-2. We'll go 3-2. Maybe, we haven't had back-to-back 3-2 days, right? I have 3-2, 3-1, 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, 3-2. So, yeah, we'll go with the 3-2 for this. Again, big one in regards to points. But I think that Dallas close it out in the Search and Destroys, and Minnesota kind of rival in the fact that Search and Destroy just has not continued to be great for them. So, yeah, that's going to be my predictions, right? We've got everything locked in. Let's go and press the save predictions button just so we know that it's real. We know that it's legit. All right, one moment. There we go. All right, everything officially locked in and ready to go again. Maybe day 2, day 3, day 4, subject to change, but at least in regards to day 1, everything currently is good to go. I'm gonna leave my predictions there, most likely. So again, big notes for me as we close out the first episode of LandO's lock-ins. I have in Group A, Toronto in the first seed, Dallas in the second seed, Florida narrowly edging out Minnesota Rocker and getting that 3rd seed. In Group B, I have Atlanta with the 1st seed, New York with the 2nd, and LA Thieves with the 3rd seed. I believe I have calculated everything correctly. Again, I'm not the greatest at math and understanding rules, but I believe that is, kind of where, if my predictions were to come out this way, I believe that is correct. So, bear with me. We'll get better at this as time goes on, but I'm pretty sure that's where things would be. Again, that is a massive game for LA Thieves because they very well, with that win, could grab the 1st seed. If they lose that series versus the New York Subliners, you actually can't see it. I'm actually pointing at my screen. So let me just go and emphasize that. That is a big game for Thieves because they could drop down to the 3rd seed if they drop that. So, just a number of different major matches to look out for. Again, those marquee matchups are big. This one's a big series. This one, if it obviously goes the way of Surge, that drastically changes up this group. And really from there, obviously this is another big one. This is a huge, you got probably half the matches, if not over half of them, could very well change up like every single spot in the group. So it's going to be fun, man. Dallas home series is going to be great. Again, I have Chicago kind of lacking this one. I have LA Thieves losing their opening match. I have New York playing well, going 2-0. I have Dallas going 2-0, and Minnesota Rocker going 1-1. So there's a lot of different things to look out for. A lot of kind of surprising results that very well could kind of come in and until I just destroy my pick'ems. I'm not guaranteeing that I'm obviously going to have a perfect bracket because I've never had that. That's just kind of where I sit right now. Again, do your predictions line up with mine? Do you have a series that's slightly different? Is there a point that I didn't mention or a point that you want to bring up that you think could be great? Feel free to let me know. Feel free to give some critiques on LandO's lock-ins, things you want to see changed up, things you want to see maybe be different. I'd love to hear all your guys' feedback on this series. Again, I'm hoping to come back next week and do this all again. Recap what was a very successful Dallas home series, or at the same time, maybe learn a lot from all my mistakes. But again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave a comment if you like what we're doing here, and maybe even toss a sub over to us here on YouTube. But again, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching the first edition of LandO's Lock-ins.